some murder, I head to a motherfucking house. J murder, fucking name. Heckler house.
What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Thomas back again with another rendition of Truth Be Told. Now this week, again, nothing really major going on in the news. We still don't know where Tucker Carlson's landing. We don't know how that's going on, though I've seen rumors supposedly that Fox claims they made a mistake by letting him go, blah blah blah. I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. I'll give you an update to it when I see something. I did see crap about them trying to do another fucking Fantastic Four movie. And they're wanting to gender swap the Thing, which absolutely makes no fucking sense. And they're thinking about casting Miley Kunis for that fucking role. That's the dumbest shit ever. Adam Driver as fucking Elastic Man or whatever the fuck his name is, Richards or whatever. Get the fuck out of here. I don't know, they're going all stupid with that shit. But anyways, regardless, let's get on to what I really want to talk to you about this week. Now, understand, I have a lot on the back burner. Like, there is a lot on my plate. A lot of stuff that I have ready to go. But it's just getting around to it all. I watched a lot of stuff and finished off a bunch of, some series and stuff like that. Some movies, I'll give you my take on John Wick 4, Rainfield, and even, which I really, you know how I am about cartoons. I'm just not a big fan of cartoons, but I'll fucking give you my take on that stupid ass Mario Brothers movie. I prefer live action. But anyways, I'll get around to all that eventually. This one's been setting for a while and I need to get it done. I just got done watching, not too long ago, the show called Sleepy Hollow. And the reason why it took me so long to even watch this show, I had no intentions of watching this show until someone brought it up and said, hey, why don't you check this out, blah blah blah, see what you think of it. First of all, I had tried to watch a few episodes when it first came out. I just thought it was dumber than shit. The plot just sounded ridiculous. Basically, you got a guy who basically dies during, the Revolutionary War. And then he comes back due to witchcraft, but by doing so does one of the so-called 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, basically the horsemen of death, and he's trying to kill him because supposedly he hit his head or some shit, and he's trying to find his head, and Ichabod Crane, he's trying to kill him so he can find his head, blah blah blah. Anyway, that's the main plot of the story, literally. You later find out that the horseman is working for this demon who wants to rule So he's creating the four horsemen of apocalypse to try to bring about the end of the world faster. And this is just the beginning. Now, Tom Mison is the one who plays the main part, Ichabod Crane. He does an alright job. It did help that John Noble was in it, playing like his son. And Clancy Brown helped out quite a bit. He's the one who played the sheriff at the beginning. But the show was from 2013 to 2017. Now, I really did not like the fact that Alex Kurtzman, who's been making the fake track lately, you know, fake Star Trek, I can't stand that jerk off. Everything he touches turns to shit. Same thing with, you know, that last couple of seasons of Hercules was Alex Kurtzman. He can't write. He can't produce worth a fucking shit. He's a retard. He's a far left extremist. And he pushes all that woke crap in his shit. But anyways, that's one of the reasons I never watched this show. It's just one of several. Most of the people, the actors and stuff that were in this show, I didn't mind so much. It was okay. They were okay. Not a big fan of Orlando Jones. I mean, he's a mediocre actor, I think. I don't think he's that great of an actor. You know, and he was just in this show. He was kind of silly in it. His character, he played their like police chief or whatever. The one character I could not stand above all else was the main character, besides Tom Mison, was the black woman who was his partner. I couldn't stand her. This 4'11" little girl was going around beating people's asses and shit, you know. I'm just, get the fuck out of here. And she was like trying to be a boss bitch, straight up feminist, and I could stand her because of that crap. I just wanted to, you know, slap the piss out of her and tell her to fuck off. But anyways, in the first season, they're basically trying to stop the Headless Horseman or Death, and they're trying to get his wife out of purgatory. I mean, the majority of the season, that's all it was. And then when they got to the second season, John Noble kind of jumped on the scene, and he made it so much better to watch. I like John Noble. He played his son, or their son, or whatever. Come to find out, you know, Ichabod's wife is a witch, and she's the one who put him to sleep for like 200 years or whatever to come back in our day and age. But eventually they get her out of purgatory. John becomes the Horseman of War. He's like working with the demon, trying to kill him. And then I don't know exactly, you know, how they got to this conclusion. But they changed all that, and they got rid of all that shit. And in season 3, they get rid of Orlando Jones. You don't see the guy who plays the Horseman of Death for quite a while. What's her face, Abby, or whatever the fuck her name is. She chops off her hair. So does fucking Tom Meissen. It's kind of strange. And then they introduce Pandora from the Greek legend of Pandora's box. And she could pull monsters out of the Pandora box. Blah, blah, blah. And she's starting a whole bunch of shit because she's trying to get this ancient god, or like from I can't remember. Maybe it's Sumerian. I don't remember. It's not Egyptian. It's something else. He's some ancient god that called the Hidden One. And there was several of them. Like, you know, the ancient Egyptian gods and the ancient Greek gods. There were several of them. He was one of those they kept in check because he kept trying to overrule the others because he wanted it all. But apparently she fell in love with him and he gave her part of his power. Anyways, that was basically what season 3 was about. They brought in this other chick called Betsy Ross, the one who made the flag or whatever in history. They brought this other chick in to play her, and she's part of it. They keep having flashbacks with her and Tom Meissen, you know, working together during the Revolutionary War. They bring George Washington into it, Thomas Jefferson, all kinds of other shit to try to figure out a way to stop Pandora and the Hidden One, because they're also trying to help create the fucking 4 horsemen or whatever for some reason. Anyway, supposedly towards the end, Abby dies. So supposedly the so-called, they're called what's called witnesses. Abby and her sister was. And I liked the sister. I just couldn't stand Abby. Abby sucked. But anyways, Abby dies. And supposedly her as a witness passes on to another. And they got to figure out who it is towards the end of the season 3. Also, George Washington created like this secret organization to fight monsters within the FBI. And Tom Meissen kind of helps join them or some shit to find out, or he goes to find out who the secret organization is to help him find wherever the witness went. Okay, now we get to season 4. Everything's fucking changed. Now he's in Washington. He's no longer in Sleepy Hollow. He creates a new headquarters, which looks pretty much similar to the one that's in fucking Sleepy Hollow. I mean, almost to a T. There's this organization called 223 or some shit like that. You have this black kid and this white chick who's like a tech expert. They're the only ones running the place. The black kid kind of like categorizes and all kinds of shit with this library. There's a library in there full of shit about monsters and crap since George Washington, you know, witchcraft, all that, because they had witches helping them and all kinds of crazy ass shit. Anyways, Jenny, the sister, and Tom Meissen's character, Ichabod, they join a new crew. There's a new FBI agent because they're in Washington. She gets involved. Now she's his partner, blah, blah, blah. She's not a witness, but her daughter ends up being the fucking witness. This, you know, 12, 13-year-old kid. I can't tell her exactly what's going on, blah, blah, blah. They become the new group from previous episodes. every now and then you'd have someone join the group and help them out in the previous seasons. Now this is the entire new group. In this one, you have this guy who's like a billionaire. He finds this rock or whatever, like the Sorcerer's Stone or some shit, that grants him immortal life. And he does it because he made a deal with the devil. He sold his soul to the devil. He has this demon that works with them or for him, blah, blah, blah. Supposedly until he dies, and then the demon collects his soul. But instead, he figured out how to make himself immortal. Now they're trying to stop him because now he's creating the 4 horsemen of apocalypse. They bring Henry back, which is Ichabod's son, John Noble. They figure a way to bring him back, and he kind of becomes the god of war, or the horseman of war, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So they're trying to stop another apocalypse. Molly, they bring in her from the future, and she's an adult, and towards the end, she's like helping them out, blah, 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 and she ends up staying. At the very end of the show, they stop the bad guy, they get rid of the demon. Molly is an adult and a kid, but the Molly, the kid version of Molly no longer is a witness, because the Molly from the future, the alternate future, is now the witness. And eventually she's supposed to come back and help Ichabod. They leave the episode off of him and Jenny fighting off some fucking what's her name? The FBI agent. They're fighting off monsters, but the FBI agent, for whatever reason, he tells her, well, you don't have to worry about Molly being a witness anymore. The adult Molly now is the witness, which makes entirely no sense whatsoever, because they're both a witness regardless if it's the future her or not. That's retarded. She's from an alternate universe, alternate timeline, so it makes no sense, because they would both still be witnesses. But whatever. At the very end, the FBI agent figures out that Ichabod made a deal with the devil to stop, to get the Sorcerer's Stone again and kill off the billionaire or whatever, the bad guy, so he could collect his soul. But he made a deal with the devil, and he's got so much time before his soul belongs to the devil. And that's the end. They left it off that way. That's the end of the show. So anyways, like I said, I like most of the actors. The last season, when they brought in, the only 2 out of the last season I liked was Jenny and Ichabod. I liked Jenny from the beginning. I liked her character for the most part. She's a little feminist in her, but she was okay. I could deal with it. But like I said, John Noble was great, and Clancy Brown, great actor, underrated actor too. You probably know him from Highlander. He was in the first Highlander movie. And most of the cast was okay. I didn't care for the black chick, Abby, and I absolutely did not like any of the cast in the last season. Again, except for the guy who played Ichabod and Jenny. The rest of them all sucked. Every one of them. I didn't like any of the season 4 sucked. I couldn't stand it. Now, I will give credit that the only good idea they had which I think they should have done with at the beginning, is getting rid. They got rid of all the horsemen except for the death horseman during the series, and I think they should have kept him because he was gaining new abilities and he was growing him an army kind of, and they were going with a cool route with him, but then they fucked that all up too. Got rid of, screwed all that up. I think they should have left the 4 horsemen bullshit alone. And, you know, said piss on it, let's move on. But this idea that they were going to introduce a new type of villain, a really powerful dark villain every season, I thought that was a cool idea, but they fucked it all up, of course, and it got retarded. But anyways, the show was, it was kind of silly. It really was. It was okay, but it wasn't the greatest, though. They could have done better with it. Alex Kurtzman's a retard. He don't know how to do shit, right? Anyways, I give it a thumbs up and a thumbs down. It's okay. Not the greatest. If you want to watch it, go ahead. Okay, let's get on to your B-movie reviews. Alright, movie holics. This week is Fantasy Week. And I went with a couple older movies from the 90s. The first one I watched was called Wizards of the Demon Sword. Now there's no box office numbers on there, but it was done in 1991. And it started Blake Banner and Heidi Payne, a couple no-names. You might recognize the guy that played in The Hills Have Eyes. He's in this, but he's in a lot of pretty B-rated movies. Basically the story was you have an evil warlock, sorcerer, who stole this dagger of power that gives some kind of dark magical power, if he can figure out how to get the power from it. You have to get it to give you that power by offering something to it, like a sacrifice or something. He just can't figure out the correct method, the correct spell to do it. So he keeps trying different stuff. He eventually figures out that the guy he stole the dagger from, he figures out that his daughter is the key. So he's going around trying to find his daughter, so he can sacrifice the daughter to get the dagger to work, or her blood or some shit. You have this guy, he's a warrior, he thinks he's a badass swordsman. He meets a thief along the way who thinks he's the badass swordsman, and they kind of fuck with each other, blah blah blah. but they eventually help each other out. The thief dies, trying to help him rescue the father and daughter, because they eventually are both captured. The Dark Sorcerer finally figures out how to get the stupid dagger by invoking it with her blood or some shit. He gets the dagger to work for him, and it gives him like a lot of power or some shit. But what happens? He sticks it on his belt loop when he goes to face the warrior dude. And then fucking the warrior dude, the girl calls out and says, use the dagger. So he just pulls the dagger out of the dude's belt loop and stabs him with it and kills him. And that's literally the end of the movie. It was kind of dumb. The acting was horrible. The story was kind of lame. It was really bad cheesy. It was one of the worst ones I've seen in a long time. I give it 2 thumbs down. This terrible, terrible movie. Unless you're a hardcore fantasy person, you don't need to waste your time. Alright, moving on to the second one. The next one, of course, there's no box office numbers. It was done in 1995. Now, this movie is basically based off a graphic novel, which is comic book, and then it turned into a cartoon movie, which set the bar for anime, like Japanese anime and shit. Set the bar pretty fucking high. It's probably the best Japanese anime there is. The movie's called Fist of the North Star. Now, the cartoon's pretty good. It's been years and years ago since I've seen it. I knew they had made a live action movie. I just can't remember ever watching it. But I knew it was out there. I don't think I've ever watched it till now. Anyways, I watched the live action movie. Honestly, it wasn't that bad. It was cheesy. Okay, had Malcolm McDowell in it. Gary Daniels played Kenshiro, and then Aizulo Washiro is the Japanese girl in the movie, the one they're in love with. Anyways. The story is basically Ken is part of a martial arts group called the North Star. There's 2 groups. There's the Fist of the North Star, and then there's another group called the Southern Cross. After like a huge it has a lot of sci-fi in it too, but it's fantasy. After like a nuclear war, most of the planet is devastated, and there's just a few fractions of humans left trying to survive. And you had all these martial arts, for whatever reason. There was a bunch of martial arts schools, and they pretty much wiped each other out, most of them, until they got down to the top 2, which was Fist of the North Star and Southern Cross. Now, Southern Cross is basically an upside down cross. And at the beginning, Malcolm McDowell's like, they were a force for good, they were bringing law, and then this guy named Shin or whatever took over and became a tyrant, and now it's gone bad, and blah blah blah. And they've killed most of the school of Fist of the North Star. There are very few of us left. Yeah. Anyways, at some point in time, Shin turned on Malcolm McDowell, which is Ken's father, and kills him. And then he thinks he kills Ken, but he doesn't kill Ken. And he takes his girl. So Ken's been wandering the wasteland for a while, healing up, taking care of himself, you know, training. Eventually he gets around to where he's got to take out Shin and his gang. He figures out, okay, I need to stop playing around and I need to go ahead, because he doesn't want to do it at first. He doesn't think he's worthy, but you know, he's told he's now the Fist of the North Star, which his father was at the beginning. Now it's him, the Grand Master, whatever. So he's got to go take out Shin. Now he does. He eventually goes and takes out the whole group, Shin. And he finds out that the love of his life isn't dead. He thought she was dead. She thought he was dead. Shin lied to him. But come to find out, you know, they realize at the end of the movie they're not dead. And they get back together. And they become the rulers. And that's the end of the movie. Like I said, it's alright. It's not bad. It's cheesy for a 90s movie. But it wasn't bad. You actually had some decent actors in this. You'll recognize a bunch of them. The main guy and the girl, they're the only two that are like no names. The guy who played Ken Kenshiro, I'm telling you right now, they picked the worst actor to play him because he sucked. He was a terrible, terrible actor. The rest of them were all okay. It was just him. If they would have chosen a better actor for the main part, it probably would have been a really big success. But no, they had to pick some no-name nobody knows of or has ever heard of, and he sucked. He was terrible. It doesn't mean the movie was bad. It was just everybody else was good. You can have good supporting cast and the movie still be good. That's a lot of time with Chuck Norris movies. I think Chuck Norris can't act worth a shit, but because of a lot of his supporting actors, some of his movies are pretty good. Same with this one. It was okay. It was cheesy, but it was okay because all the supporting actors. Regardless of that, I give it 2 thumbs up. It's at least worth a one-time watch. I honestly think the cartoon was way better. I think they need to redo it and pick some better actors. Like I said, most of the actors were well known and were decent actors in this, but they were mostly all B movie actors for the most part. Anyways, that's all I have for you this week. If you have any thoughts about what I talked about earlier in the video, please leave your thoughts down in the comment section down below. If you can think of any underrated movies or something you think I may never have seen, B movies, please leave your suggestions down in the comment section down below, and I'll get to reviewing them as soon as I can. So until next time, I told you be told the truth, and you just been told.